G'day and welcome to another episode of the Aussie Ideas Man. I never thought I'd be making a video one day after I've just finished making one, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I have just seen introducing the APTERA UI just over 1 minute video, and I thought it deserved a proper evaluation. That ignorant fanboy the Ninja has also done an evaluation, did it in under 9 minutes, and it was completely Mickey Mouse. I believe that if anybody followed what he said about it, they would be misinformed and deluded. Better I put up a more comprehensive evaluation, and one that after anybody watches it, they will be able to make a better informed decision on how good or bad this UI is. I'll be giving my opinion, but nobody needs to take my opinion. They just need to form their own, but with at least some comprehensive and decent information. I'm no expert on UIs. I've been driving cars for over 50 years, and very few of them have had a UI on it. So take my views with a grain of salt also. Do a lot of thinking for yourself. Well, anyway, I'd better get into it. I've just skipped through the palavering, but now, to do this thing justice, I need to just keep moving through the screens one at a time. And I can't do that because I can't see in DaVinci Resolve the entire screen big enough for me to see anything. So I'm going to have to figure out some other way of doing this. I've just watched a quick video and it looks pretty easy to do. I can go into full screen and see some of these little texts that are on this UI, which is one of the biggest bugbears of the whole UI. Everything is too small. But anyway, I'm going to try and do it now. In fact, I'll just keep stopping on as many stills as I can without speaking, and then try and run through them, speaking on a second go through. Well, here I go with the next stage. I've got what I rendered in Media Player so that I can see a bigger screen in front of me. And now I've just got to keep trying to use this play pause at the bottom of Media Player and catch as many screens as I can. Let's give it a shot. The first thing I can quickly pause at is the screen that says 4:36 p.m. 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the top left hand corner, and he's just about to switch from park to reverse. We can see a little highlighted P next to the time and a bigger P in the top center of the screen. So this is in park. We can also see that the inside temperature, showing red, is 81 degrees Fahrenheit, or 6 degrees higher than what the outside temperature is. And I can barely make out that we've just added 8 miles since it was parked last. The biggest item on the screen is actually just a picture of green solar cells on the rear hatch, which isn't realistic at all. Those solar cells are never green. Oh, and I can just make out something like 72%, maybe 75% in the battery. Now he's switched to reverse. It's even hard to catch all the screens because Media Player is a bit slow to respond. But he switched to reverse. You can see now P's not shaded in grey, but R is. Okay, we can also see that we're still in park by the larger one in the middle, which, if you look at it, is still inside the size of his finger width. The other ones are way smaller, probably less than a quarter of a finger width. But in any case, when it goes into reverse, you get the rear camera show up. And what I notice here is that it's about to go into a parking bay, and there are two white lines, not the usual that you get from most cars, but there are two white lines that appear to be much narrower than the APTERA itself. They're certainly not 88 inches apart, judging by the width of the parking bays. So they look a little bit useless. The other thing I noticed, and I can't see it here, it's so pale, and it's probably under his hand, is there's a massive R in the camera area itself. It's a massive R, which I can't see any reason to have. I would have had that P in the middle turned to R. Is that there is a picture of what looks like a tree or two, some sort of horizon, which doesn't equate to anything as far as I can see, because if you look through the windscreen itself, I know it's blurred, But during this, there are three people. You can see one there in a white top, dark skirt or trousers, that walk past. There are three people walk in front. A little further on the other side, there's a whole other side of the parking bays, it looks like. There's certainly no road straight in front. But in either case, this isn't a front view that's up in the top right corner. It just doesn't make sense at all. I don't know what it's doing there. I'd like somebody to explain what that's all about. I'll try to catch as quickly as I can the next change. Maybe too quick. Okay, so now we've got him in neutral. Still 436, 75 degrees, that's the same. Still showing in park, even though we've switched now from park to reverse to neutral on the tiny text display. But not much to notice. Try to move again. The only thing I notice here is that the hand is away, and the second biggest item you can see on this screen is a picture of an APTERA. The green cells, that picture of the APTERA, the phone, and the dashboard picture take up most of the screen's real estate and are mostly of no use to anyone. It would have been better to have larger texts. Now he's switched to drive mode. As you can see up the top, the D is now in grey surrounding it. Still in P on the one to the right. But as you touch these modes, you get this large, much larger, but very brief graphic on the whole left side with a big D and, once again, a large picture of your APTERA. This is where things get really interesting. He's hit the D, that graphic on the left has quickly disappeared, but boy are there some changes. Starting at the top left with 11:20 AM, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Now wasn't it 4:36 PM and 75 degrees Fahrenheit? The other thing is, it actually was at 0 miles per hour, and it's going to go up to 50. I've seen this before. But just on the press of D, we don't know what else has been done. He's pressed D and it's just shot up to 50 miles an hour magically. I don't know. Anyway, more observations. It's now at 80%. So when it was 4:36 PM, wasn't it at 73% or something? No, that's the Fahrenheit. 71% maybe. I wish I wasn't 71 years old. But anyway, we have a higher state of charge in the battery. We're also charging more, 450 watt charging as opposed to about 265. But we still have that same plus 8 miles since last parked, which is a bit oddball. We also have the screen picture below, or the front dash picture, is now showing 76 degrees Fahrenheit and no phones connected. Those are the changes. They're a bit bizarre. By now I just don't believe that this is real. Certainly you can't put it in D and it shoots off to 50 miles per hour. Let's try and catch another screen. There we go. Quickly caught it going up to 25 miles per hour. This is pretty much instantaneous. Caught 30 miles per hour. 41 miles per hour. Something's happening to the dash. The appearance has changed a bit. We don't see the air conditioning buttons just below the screen. And I've caught one now. We're nearly at 50 miles per hour. And look at what happened. It's between 46 and 48 miles per hour that screen magically went down 10 degrees and turned blue. If I had this UI, I'd be wondering what on earth's going on. I must have backed it up a bit because I'm back at 46 miles per hour just to show you that 78 degrees is red. I've backed it up a bit further, 44 miles per hour, it's white. Backed it up further to 35 miles per hour, and not only is it white, it's got this lovely big white circle in the middle of the screen, and it's got more visible controls just under the view of the dash and that screen. Not sure what's going on. Maybe Steve Fambro or Chris Anthony or McAdam or even that palaverer, Jason Hill. Maybe one of those can respond and explain all this. I would love to know what's going on. All right, this is getting a bit weird, but I've backed down to 19 miles per hour and I can see that the AC button has been pressed, even though no hand or finger has displayed it like at the start. Just observing what's going on. There you go, I went back to 0 miles per hour. And now there's a start icon in the middle of the screen on the picture of the dash. No idea why. Going back to putting it in park, back to the brief pop-up on the left, which is quite large. Looks like the rest of the screen darkens. That's another observation I first made too, is that having watched this all the way through, there is no day and night mode options. This is purely looking like a night mode and nothing else, which to me is unacceptable. What have I managed to stop at now? Nothing that I can notice. Oh, we have got an arrow just pop up. Not sure what that's about. Why would that arrow do that? Also, you get to know who you are while you're driving it. We've got a little thing there that says Driver Jackson. The arrow went away. What's happening next? Nothing else seemed to change while the arrow was there. Oh, the arrow has gone down. No idea why. Let's move on and see what goes. What gives next? It goes away. Other than that, can't see anything. Very awkward that in Media Player I have to keep wrestling with the fact that the controls that I use keep disappearing and I have to move the mouse to bring them back up while I'm trying to observe the screen. Aha! Caught it on graying out well, I don't know what it is. It looks opposite to the one on the right, which looks like a light. So it's a quarter light facing left is now on. Oh, it's overhead lighting. It says it above. Now imagine how you would see that or read that overhead lighting sign. No, would even see it when your head is just in front of the headrest and this screen is so far away. I mean, how big would that text font be? I would estimate, judging by the size of the actual screen, that my head wouldn't be any more than a foot away from the screen as I look at things. What do you think? Comments welcome. I'll move it on. Okay, we've got that thing greyed out now. And when it is greyed out, the little font that says overhead lighting goes out. I'll just check that it did say overhead lighting. Yes, overhead lighting. Okay. Well, that just means that these are little cabin lights, and one's for the driver, the one that they're using, the other one's for the passenger. Okay, I'll work that out. Now you got no lights on in the cabin. Now it looks like you got both lights on in the cabin. It puts a big spot in the middle of these two. For what reason, I don't know. And the little text above is nowhere to be seen. When it comes on and why, I don't know. Okay, I didn't see where you pressed to get this screen up, but it doesn't matter. We're into sound speaker settings, which show that your front two speakers are on. I guess there's really not much else other than that. Oh, I figured this one out easy. The volume slider on the right has just gone from extreme left to extreme right, and all of a sudden your visual is showing that these things are at full blast. And they're halfway down and they're showing that they're about halfway. If you know what's going on, I suppose you can get used to that. how I've managed to get back to what I would think is a home screen of sorts. Not sure why we're looking at it. Okay, we've moved from controls to settings. And it looks like they've put the exterior lights on in settings. Interesting that, because you can put your little cabin lights on in the home screen, but you have to go into settings to put your lights on to drive the thing at night. I would have had it the other way around. I think it's more important to have easier access to switching on your lights outside the car to drive. People hardly ever use interior lights. Oh, they've switched them off. There doesn't seem to be enough controls here anyway. Just put them on, put them off. How do you just put Parkers on? Maybe the Snake Oil Quartet can answer me that. Oh, now we're going to go on. We've got on while it's not greyed. Tiny little circle. It has me baffled. Oh, okay. So that tiny little circle is probably not what's available on the screen at all, but just representative of a finger pressing it that we can't see. So now it's greyed, I think, and I think that's all we'll have on the UI itself. I'm trying to work this out as best as I can. Same here. Little white spot on controls now without the greyed out that's over settings, and so I think that denotes an invisible finger and won't be on the UI. There it is. So if you touch on controls, you're actually on the home screen. And I'm done, because these clowns are irrelevant. Just a bit of padding to get over the 1 minute mark, I think. They were looking at a fake screen. But from what I can tell, having looked at what few things they showed on the UI that you're supposed to be getting, it's far from good enough. Just about every text font size on it is too small. Way too small. If your head was just in front of the headrest and you're trying to read some of those fonts, you've got Buckley's chance. You would need a magnifying glass. Look at this guy on the right. He is straining and he's leaning forward into it. You can't do that while you're driving. But what did we see? I'm trying to think. We saw headlights that went on and off in the settings without any other way to control things such as parking lights. We saw the sound adjustments, but only for the front speakers. They didn't bother to show how you did front and rear balance. The rear was never shown at all, but many other music adjustment features were simply not there. It didn't even tell you how to turn on the rear speakers. Told you nothing. And like the Ninja said, there were things that were important that were not shown at all. Things like how much power you were using. But there was a lot more than what the Ninja said. What stood out to me was there was no odometer reading at all, nor was there any trip computer and ability to reset a trip computer. There was nothing to do with regen, certainly no levels of regen mode settings. The more I think about it, it really was pathetic. Now, as a 71-year-old staring at these two ugly mugs, I'm not in the mood for thinking, so I think I'll leave it to the comments section. Let's everybody delve into this a lot deeper. What does this UI screen have and what is it missing? It really is an interesting topic to take a deep dive into. Well, that's all from me. Bye for now. Stay safe.